So also raise your hand if you are familiar with the difference between B2B and B2C, knowing what it stands for. Just want to make sure I get it right. Business to business, business to consumer. Okay, we got the basics established. Okay, so distinguishing a little bit more about that in some more detail. As a business, when it's in the B2C space, it has a one-to-many sort of customer ratio. You're generally in the business of selling your product or service that you're required to convert one key individual, and that would be your customer. However, in the B2B space, outside of things, selling your services and products requires buy-in from a buying committee and consisting of multiple people. So it's not necessarily one key person that you need to convince. There's generally several. So you have a business solution that you're offering. It's likely you have to convince the CFO, the CEO, the MD, the head of department. And for that reason, it makes it a lot more complex and a lot more challenging. So there are various B2B business and marketing strategies to help you with that one. So generally, why is this the case that you might be asking? B2B marketing is generally consists of a much more complex marketing funnel and a longer sales cycle with more stages than that of B2C. For B2B sales and marketing, by the time you hear from them, your customers, your buyers are already 60 to 90% through their buyer's journey. Just want to pause for a moment and just let that sink in for a second. Okay? If you're in the B2B business space and you get a lead, whether it's a marketing qualified lead or a sales qualified lead, someone that actively reaches to you, they're already 60 to 70% down the line. So that means that you're way closer to engaging with them than you would be from a B2C. So just to give a bit more context on that. B2C, consumers are engaging with you in earlier stages of your marketing funnel, which is generally in your awareness and your interest phase, but not yet at the stage of making any commitments. And for that reason, when you're in the B2C business space, your marketing tactics and strategies are more related to entertainment factors, is, sort of pulling on the impulsive decision making. If you think about it, you see those luxury Mercedes-Benz or BMW or Audi cars or Teslas, and you think to yourself, oh, damn, I'm going to get myself a car. No, it's not the most responsible thing to do. I can barely afford it, but I'm going to buy that car anyway. That's sort of the B2C space. B2B business space, on the other hand, is generally much more informatively driven with functional information that requires very calculated decision making. And this often means that there is no way of bypassing the CFO approvals. Believe you me, I've had my fair share of dealing with difficult CFOs and accountants that are the number crunchers when it comes to convincing them of investing in marketing strategies. Some key differentiators. Okay, I'm not going to go through every slide on the B2C side of things because that's not the context of what the session is of this one. But the B2B audiences are much more risk averse as they have a responsibility to make the right decisions. And often their jobs depend on it, quite literally. So if you think of a scenario, if you are selling software as a service program within your organization, and if that were to backfire and it's incorporated in the whole company, who are the executive committees next they're going to breathe down, right? So a lot of the time, you will find your B2B decision makers, your prospecting clients or customers are going to be really doing their due diligence. They're going to do their homework. They're going to be researching. They're going to be going online. And for that reason, you need to be very strategic about the information you make available for them online so that you get them as leads. Again, another sort of differentiator is B2B is more fact-driven, and B2C types of marketing has a bit more of the fun factor with the entertainment. KPIs to determine your B2B marketing, if it is succeeding or not. Just before I go ahead on this one, do we all know what KPIs are referring to? Yes, key performance indicators, right? Okay. So, a little bit of a story. One of my clients informed me that their average sales cycle from initiating first contact to actually converting that person into a client was about a year. That could be quite a long time. The context of this was particularly because it's an IT solutions company that was selling a very custom, bespoke online e-learning solutions offering. And so in the education learning sector, you have your annual school calendar year. So generally, you have a look at different school terms, months, holidays, all that sort of thing, where the teachers or the principals or the committee of the school and that have their annual review meetings and their budget discussions. Then we established what sort of key times there are to actually start pushing marketing out towards them and content, and when the sales teams would get involved. So one of the things that we did there was we established that a good KPI would be working towards shortening their sales cycle. So if we could get it down from a year down to 6 months or even 3 months on a quarter, we can be more strategic about what we approach. And that also gives the sales teams more time available instead of knocking on doors at the wrong time of year. And all of that requires quite extensive research into the markets and who your customers are. And I'll be touching on that in a few more slides. Another client we had was experiencing an influx in online leads and inquiries to their site's contact page through search engine marketing and PPC and various programmatic ads, right, and campaigns, but they realized that the quality of those inquiries were actually pretty poor. And when that happens, recently, it ended up resulting in mostly spam-related contact lead forms. We will then realize that what we did was we conducted an audit of the campaign reports that the client's ad agency had provided them and helped refine their strategy and optimize their campaigns to improve the quality of those leads coming through so that there was more of a quality of the leads coming through as opposed to quantity. The last thing you want to do is waste your sales team's time by following up on dead leads that aren't actually really relevant to it. The other factor was that the agency that was servicing this client, they're incentivized for leads. So you get a lot of those gimmicky type of agencies, get rich quick, get leads quick schemes. And yeah, it caused a lot of problems. While the conversion rates were low, the agency is incentivized in a manner to get you leads. But for you as a business, it's not necessarily about the leads that you get, it's about the sales and the return on investment that you're getting as well. So that was something that we managed to fix and sort out for them. Another one, if you're not getting any marketing or sales qualified leads, then that's a sign that your content marketing is lacking and you're in need of reviewing and developing a more robust content marketing strategy. So I know during lunchtime, I spoke to a few people, I think the Indeed crowd over there, where I got to meet quite a few content marketers, and I will definitely stress this. Your content is absolutely critical in terms of what you sort of put out there and the information that they're going to absorb from you and how it would be relevant to the solution or the problems that they're looking into. So if you're experiencing an influx of leads, but the quality of those leads coming through are poor, so it's not relevant to the service or the product that you offer, then a review of your target audience might also be required. A large financial service client of ours conducted an accusations audit when they realized that they were losing long-standing clients due to competitors talking negatively about them to their clients. This is a true story of what happened with a client of ours in South Africa. And yeah, business world can be quite cutthroat. And what ended up happening is it resulted in them actually experiencing a drop-off rate in contract renewals. And this financial services client of ours, they had a sales cycle that was anything up to 4 years, but they were dealing in like high volumes. If they were to get a key client account, we're talking hundreds of millions per annum for 1,000 staff members within a company. So there's substantial investment that goes around on these sort of things. And if, the sales consultants are not equipped with the right sales collateral, marketing collateral to arm them when they encounter these issues or challenges and this competition in the industry, it can have severely damaging and costly effects on an organization. I mean, if you just think about how much money and time and effort you invest in getting a customer, you spend all of that. You want to be able to spend equally amount in terms of retaining them. The last thing you want to do is lose them and then you're back to square one again. It's not a viable business strategy to do. And it's also why you should never really stop your marketing efforts as well. So what we ended up doing is we worked with them to develop a rather bespoke marketing and communication strategy that would arm their sales consultants with the collateral that they needed to retain and increase their client base. And so we embarked on a very highly targeted account-based marketing strategy, which I'll share with you now. So ABM, right? Generally, if you go onto Google, you'll find that the definition is sort of around a strategic approach where B2B marketing efforts are focused on highly targeted accounts. When applying ABM, there is no spray and pray approach to marketing. As such, there are some key principles and guidelines that you need to follow. And we'll cover that. So there's a lot, but I'm going to summarize it into about 4 primary key principles that you need to keep in mind. Number 1, one of my clients informed me, coming through, client centricity and insight. The outside-in approach means understanding your client's needs and their organizations in enough depth to create positions that help them achieve their business objectives. Once you've identified your key client or your prospecting client accounts, we then undergo extensive research to understand the client and gather valuable insights needed to develop a successful account-based marketing strategy. You cannot bypass the research phase, right? I think everyone here in the room is familiar with the KYC, know your customer approach. Don't skimp on that. As soon as you do that, you're going back to the traditional marketing mindset and mentality of that spray and pray approach, advertising and marketing. And then the marketing messages and your content marketing and the messages that you're putting out there don't land with your key decision makers and your prospecting customers and clients. So very important one. Skipping this step takes you down a very slippery slope in the wrong direction. And again, I think a lot of us might be familiar. The assumptions are the mother of all bleep, bleep, bleeps. So don't fall into the trap of just assuming. Don't be lazy about skimping on the research phase of things. When it comes to the research phase, I mean research that goes way beyond just Googling online. What we ended up doing for our clients is we did research into the company, the prospecting clients that they had, their corporate social investments, what their companies stand for, the values, the principles. We researched the individual key decision makers. We put together audience personas and profiles of them in a very bespoke, custom manner. And we also spoke with the sales consultants. We had multiple interviews and multiple workshops, not only with the sales consultants who are engaging with their prospecting customers or clients, but we also had regular sessions and interview sessions with their agency service provider. So I just want to give you some context as well. I am not from an ad agency, although for my sins in a past life, I did do the 16-hour work days in an ad agency environment. So I'm very well versed in what that sort of entails. But one of the things that we realized with ad agencies, they're there to produce content and produce your marketing, and they're there to run and manage your campaigns. They don't necessarily have the time. In fact, I guarantee you, they don't have the time to do the level of research that's required in order to establish the foundations of a good account-based marketing strategy that is very critical in terms of the content that you're going to be putting out there. So that was where we came in. So we would work with the agencies and we would basically do all the research. And then as a result of that, that formulates the brief between the client and the agency partners that would put together the strategies. Okay. Partnerships between sales and marketing. This requires more than agreeing upon definitions, rules of engagement, and a list of prioritized accounts. It means that sales and marketing are equal partners collaborating together on the same team. Again, one of my IT solutions clients, we took them through quite an extensive, we went on quite an extensive journey with this company. And so there were a couple of principles and frameworks and marketing strategies and business strategies that we had encountered along with them. But their sales teams didn't have the issue of not getting leads or interest. Their solution that they were offering to the market was definitely needed. So it wasn't a hard sell for them. Something was So they're running around doing in-person demo sessions with prospects and clients and customers that are really interested in what they have. But beyond that, nothing else was happening. So then we realized, okay, well, develop content, video explainer content, maybe free demo, online demo access for them that they can do. And then that buys the sales teams more time to actually go in and sell on a more consultative approach, to actually conduct a needs analysis of who their client is and what their clients need, and then put together proposals and quotes and solutions on that. But because they didn't have enough sales and marketing collateral to support that, they never really made it as far to that stage. And so there was this horrible feedback loop that kept going around in circles all the time and not converting over into that. When we encountered and we started helping them with their marketing and producing marketing collateral, they started neglecting the sales. They started getting lazy. And what I mean by that is they started relying on marketing to almost replace sales. So that's a big no-no. They have to work together. You cannot expect marketing departments to bring in sales for you, and you can't expect your sales teams to be your marketing teams as well. I'm seeing a lot of heads over here nodding. I think most of you guys in the room are on the marketing side. So you probably show hands of how many times you felt that you're under pressure, that you're not getting sales or converting anyone in leads, even though you're a marketing pro and you're not a salesperson. Does that ring a bell with anybody? Lots of heads. Does anybody want to maybe share a story or scenario of where they experienced something like that before? I could definitely share a couple stories. Yeah. Okay. So I'll share one of them for you. I was working for an ad network company. So we basically had to create a programmatic advertising marketplace. And my job in that role was to bring on new publishers, new content producers to grow the network. And so we would have to, tie them in, put together a revenue business model for them, negotiate, and sign on. So that's very much of a sales, business development, acquisition kind of job. But no marketing was done behind it. So it ended up making the role, again, my job role is actually in marketing. It quickly changed to where I was now finding myself in a sales position. But I started with this company and I worked in a job as marketing. And I've seen too many times as well with other clients where you have people's job titles, sales and marketing manager, sales and marketing director. Anyone in the room ever been in that position before? Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. There's also trends where CMOs are now basically chief sales officers as well. So, yeah, again, can't stress enough, and it generally causes a lot of conflict when there's too much pressure being put on either the sales department or the marketing department, or either side of them are lacking. The other thing that I've experienced as well is you get sales teams and marketing teams working in complete isolation of each other. Everyone's on their own agenda. One of our other clients, we had a status meeting with them, and the next thing we're there and we're having a look at all the marketing and the content marketing campaigns that were going out. And the next thing the client's like, guys, where's the performance of this ad campaign or this article that I saw? And everyone on the conference call, about 7 people, are like, what ad are you talking about? What article are you talking about? It turned out their in-house marketing department for their always-on campaigns had actually jumped on the bandwagon and started producing their own content. So there was duplication of marketing material that was now going out there. And it was a very expensive duplication exercise when you're running very expensive niche-targeted LinkedIn ad campaigns. So that kind of messed a whole lot of things up. So communication is vitally important with sales and marketing teams to work together. I would even go as far as to say that when sales departments have to go and report to their board of directors on their, performance for the year and that, they should have meetings with their marketing team first. Much more of a team-orientated thing. Also, why have the marketing department report to the board of directors and the sales guys are not there? There needs to be communication. So just also important lesson to learn there. Okay. Focus on reputation and relationships, not just revenue. This is a really tricky one to achieve because, again, in your roles, in your job day to day, what is the bottom line? Selling, exactly, converting. And so when you have your bosses and they say to you, how many sales did you bring in? And you'd be like, nothing, or 2 or 3. What are your targets? You have to, your sales commission. You didn't meet your targets this month. It's grueling. It's a brutal process. It's a flawed operational business issue that corporations do and make this mistake all too often. And so what ends up happening is you become that annoying, desperate salesperson. You'll have marketing, they'll have a lead that comes through. And then your job from sales is to pick up the phone and say, hi, we saw that you subscribed to our newsletter and that you expressed interest in our products or services. Can we do a demo? And then the next thing, 16 calls later, marketing qualified lead is not responding. What do? There's nothing more unattractive than the look of desperation or projecting desperation on there. So, and especially in the B2B business space, right? Relationships are critical. Salespeople don't want to be those sleazy car salesman vibes where they have to do, gimmicky sort of tactics and things like that in order to convert clients because they're under too much pressure from their management to, deliver and go on targets. Also, again, from my FSP client where they ended up going through an accusations audit ordeal is they started neglecting the relationships that they had with their clients. They had these customers and clients for 10, 15 years. There's a level of complacency that starts to happen and be encountered. And then that is when the competition starts coming up and starts nurturing them. So marketing is there to help push out content, keep things top of mind, to help inform. But the sales team's objectives is more there to build relationships, not necessarily just to sort of convert the sales. So that's also a key differentiator between what you would encounter in the B2C space as opposed to the B2B space. Finally, tailored programs and campaigns. I think, again, from a couple of the conversations that I've had here this morning, a lot of you are very sort of interested in the technical, the nitty gritty. Like, what do we do if we're doing programmatic? What are we going to do with social? What are we going to do with content marketing? How is our marketing mix going to look? So again, working with the sales and marketing teams, we interviewed the sales teams, we had conversations, workshops with them, find out what their pain points are, how good are their relationships that they're having, what are the barriers to entry, have they even been able to initiate contact with the prospecting customer or client or key decision maker? Are they struggling with that? If they're struggling with that, then we go to the marketing department and we chat to the marketing department. What marketing collateral can we do there that will help support the sales team so that they can actually get through that icebreaker and be able to sort of initiate contact and get a meeting, let alone a phone call. So using a combination of market insights, accounts insights, and even individual buyer insights, both marketing and sales teams would then have to work together to craft personalized content to drive interest and engagement. Based on the research and insights that we conducted for key accounts that you as a client would maybe be focusing on, we're then able to establish the right channels to choose and the type of content to produce. This eliminates that spray and pray approach of advertising and assuming that this is the information that your prospecting customer or key account is looking for. And it also saves you tons of money by avoiding wasted ad spend. So again, don't just assume that B2B business space, that you need to invest all your marketing ad spend budget on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is the primary B2B social media platform, and that all customers or key decision makers are on LinkedIn and they're engaging. One of the things we realized when we were conducting the research of the key decision makers and the influencers, like the buying committee, in this particular, for about 2 or 3 key client accounts that we were doing research, we actually realized that most of those decision makers weren't even on LinkedIn. So imagine what a wasted ad spend that would have been if you were just to go and run a whole bunch of targeted marketing campaigns and they're not even there. Another thing, even for me, my background being digital first and digital only, I've also had to incorporate that digital isn't the be all and end all. There's still old school traditional methods that you want to use, such as events. So we then discovered, okay, actually the buyer committee of this particular key client account and their corporate culture is very much into health and wellness and sports and activities. So then we put forward a suggestion of marketing strategies. Why not sponsor, a cycling racing event? Apparently there's, corporate teams that go in and do these obstacle training sort of things. I don't know if any of you guys have done that, team building sessions. There's a little bit more creative out-the-box thinking around that, like events-based strategies that you would actually get people into. And then you would use your marketing mix where you would promote it on social media or email, or you would even put together collateral and even bespoke types of emails that the sales consultants could actually send out to those prospecting key client accounts that they need to get and invite them to it. So all of that would be, the sort of hooks that you would get in. So these are some of the things that we sort of do. And it happens all too often when agencies run your marketing and advertising based on perceived assumptions of the latest fad trend. So again, TikTok's like a big thing, so everyone has to be on TikTok. What's the reason with TikTok? There's LinkedIn, there's social media, there's SEO, there's all these different types of content. The marketing landscape and industry is exceptionally overwhelming. I think even us as industry professionals that have been in this all the time, we're constantly exhausted and fatigued about, oh my gosh, what's the next thing? Even the previous speaker with SEO, it's constantly changing all the time. You just feel like you can barely keep up, right? So when you're going along with the tide, you're just going to be flowing down the rapids and, losing sight of actually where you're going and what your objective is. And once again, just want to bring you back to the importance of actually doing the research beforehand, sticking to key principles and key performance indicators to know what your objectives are on your strategy. And from that, you can almost use a process of elimination to actually determine what your marketing mix is. So then that helps you avoid those pitfalls of accidentally over-investing in a particular channel or overly investing in the wrong key client account. One of the other things we did with our client is they selected which key client accounts they wanted to focus on for ABM. And their decision-making process, because they're a financial services company, was all about the money. All right, these are the top 4 clients that we want to focus on, and we want to put together highly targeted, bespoke ABM strategies, and we want to invest in that because those 4 key client accounts had the biggest revenue outlays for them. What we realized is when we started researching and investing that those 4, like 2 of the 4 of them were not going to be a fit for the client. The research and like market analysis that we did, the time and the space in which they had done it, like one of the clients had already just engaged in a new contract with a competitor. So that contract would only be up for renewal in 4 to 5 years' time. There's no point in investing in account-based marketing and setting yourself an objective that you want to convert them into a customer within a year's time if they've just engaged in a new contract. So being able to do research like that and find out that information, help them avoid, over-investing in a particular key account, and then move on to researching the next ones. Okay, how does it work? Yes. So one of the things we do is we created data-enriched profiles. So a detailed prospect or account profile is developed using a combination of tools and techniques. We would do research so far granular, and I know this is going to sound creepy, but it's not, and it's totally compliant with privacy and all that kind of thing. But where you would use AI and machine learning technology that would potentially actually predict a person's personality profile based on their social media engagements. And so that would then help to establish, based on their social media and their job description in the sector that they're in, on exactly how you would curate your marketing message, how you would actually pick up the phone and what you would say, how you would actually do a cold calling, let alone a cold emailing that would actually gain them and attract their attention. So things like someone who might be a very analytical, introverted individual, we would create a persona profile of the CFO sector. We would then know that content marketing that we would curate that would appeal to them would be things around statistics or the bottom line. We would then see maybe the managing director or the CEO of a recently VC-funded tech startup company is much more inclined to engage with more purpose-driven, inspiring, motivational content. So to do the spray and pray approach or just the copy and paste approach and then issue content marketing material to him isn't going to land with him the same way it does with the CFO. And then what we ended up doing is we would actually create a relationship matrix with all the key decision makers, and then be able to sort of curate the right content. So even this research that we did, these profiles that we did, helped the sales consultants for when they would actually go into the meetings and they would be pitching to the board. Then they would know there's an individual over here. When they get to a certain point of their presentation or when they're ready to demo something to them, that they know they need to give their attention to one of the key individuals within that board meeting and execute relevant to them, and then engage on the next person. So very useful things that we use there on those tools. Creating a personal marketing plan, customer journey, developed based on the insights generated from those personas. And then production, based on all that information, is creating a personalized marketing plan, matching it with the information that we get from those data-enriched profiles would help to produce relevant ads, relevant content marketing collateral, whether it would be developing a white paper, whether it would be doing explainer videos or certain blog articles, and what type of content you would have in those articles that you would share with them. And then this would be briefed to the ad agencies or PR agencies, and then they actually have a much more robust briefing that they know exactly what content that they need to produce and issue out, and also across what channels. So then placing that content across your paid media channels, your owned and your earned media channels, to ensure that we reach that prospect multiple times over the course of the time. And then track and optimize. So then the cycle continues again. So you're gathering data from each touch point to get a sense of what is working and what isn't working. And then we would optimize and refine those personas and the plans. The user journey changes all the time. One of the other things I've experienced a lot is, you have your sales and marketing funnel. It never works just in order. I mean, when have you ever experienced, okay, this is the plan I've got. We're going to start here, we're going to work through, and we're going to convert, and then the deal's done. Things never go according to plan, no matter how much you plan. So you always have to make sure that you have an agile plan and you have contingencies available that you can optimize. So there's also a lesson to be learned here, and don't overplan, and make sure that you're not forced to stick to the plan no matter what. It also won't be the best investment you make. So, ABM strategy for B2B organizations, all right? It's much more of a flipped funnel approach. So traditional marketing, I think most of us are familiar with the marketing funnel, the top-down approach. With account-based marketing, the funnel's actually flipped over its head, right? You've been a lot more strategic about which key client accounts that you're selecting. Okay, I've explained the sort of research that we do and the due diligence you need to do once you've actually selected and identified those key client accounts. Then your mission is to develop content that's going to engage with them, to get gain their interest. And then once you do that, you want to land and expand them, and you're wanting to nurture that relationship. So again, one of our IT solutions clients, we had to combine both traditional marketing for brand awareness campaign, because one of the things we did when we had our first consulting sessions and workshop sessions with them, the outcome was that our recommendation was that they actually need to go through a whole new company rebrand, everything. A new company name, new website, new logo. It was basically like starting up a whole brand new company, because their previous website hadn't been updated in like 15 years. It was really bad. And it's quite appalling that it's an IT solutions company. But yes, there are businesses like that exist. And there are people like us that are there to help and service them on that space. So because of that reason, no one knows about them. It's a brand new brand. It's a whole new facelift. So we do apply with the traditional marketing models and strategies. Then because they have a really great solution and product, they never had a hard time getting leads or interest or having interested customers. So they had a long leads list of prospecting clients and customers. But once again, the issue with that was that they didn't have any supporting marketing collateral to actually engage and build and nurture those relationships beyond them just trying to get a meeting and to do a demo. So then we applied the ABM method as well, and we do sort of a combination of that. During our time working with both the FSP client and the IT solution client, which we've been working with for going on 2 years now, we've learned some lessons along the way on this journey with them. And so I'm going to share a couple of them with you now. Lesson 1, using traditional marketing thinking. Okay, a one-size-fits-all and blanket approach to marketing does not work with account-based marketing. Instead, ABM marketing requires a real personalized effort to capture critical gatekeepers' attention and maintain it long enough to make a sale. It's not easy, nor a short-term process in changing the mindset of our clients to expand their thinking from traditional marketing concepts as the be-all and end-all approach. B2B marketers make a common mistake in their ABM strategy to not employ enough personalization in their messaging. Don't be lazy about the personalized messaging. Personalize everything as much as you possibly can, even right down to the email, to the social media, and especially with regards to your website, right? Rebuild a section on your website. So recommendations we did for our clients was to say, have an entire new section on your website, specifically for these 4 key client accounts that you want to learn. This is an investment you need to put in there. And they do that. What do they do by the time they encounter you? They're going to do their own research. So this is where your SEO strategy comes in, your content marketing strategy, and your search engine marketing as well. Build that section on your website there to land them. You want to hook them in and draw them in. You don't want to have to be chasing after your clients. So personalization at the most granular level is very key. Don't be afraid to gear your marketing efforts towards creating a one-to-one dialogue with your target audience. We had for our FSP client where we worked with their content marketing agency that we actually put together articles specifically for those clients, and then it was published on the website. So with their blog information center on their website, they have like a database of tons of articles. But a lot of the time I've experienced people would say, okay, well, what's trending at the moment? Let's write about that, right? You're just going to drown in the sea of all the noise with everyone jumping onto those bandwagons. Be a lot more strategic about what you're going to be putting out there and focus on what your clients are, the key client accounts that you have. While everyone else is following the bandwagon of like what's trending at the moment, you being a lot more strategic and you're focused on who that client is and you wanting to deliver something of real value because you've done your homework. You know exactly what their pain points are, what their challenges are that they're encountering, and you can already then anticipate exactly what solution you want to offer them. So create an article and publish content like that on your website. So when they are having their board meetings and their strategy sessions, and they're doing their research online on Google and that, up pops your article over there. And then that's where your lead comes in. Number 3, identifying and prioritizing the wrong account. This happened quite a lot. B2B marketers must also make decisions based on which accounts they choose to prioritize. While this can sometimes be a gamble, it should be a strategic choice. Many marketers waste time going after the wrong leads, leading to a poor return on investment on your ABM tactics. Instead, make sure you validate that the leads you are approaching are well qualified for your specific offerings. Again, with regards to the IT solutions company client that I had with their e-learning tech, they were just like, well, we have e-learning, we're just going to approach the schools. And I said to them, who are your key prospecting clients? All the schools in the country. Like, okay, great. How do you want to target all the schools in the country? Do all the schools in the country face the same challenges? Well, some of them do. Do the private schools face the same challenges as the public schools do? Do the schools in the more rural areas face the same challenges as the schools in the more urban areas? No. So we start going a little bit more refined. Then we start developing very bespoke, and we say to them, but what is your solution doing to provide? What solution are you offering to solve a problem or a challenge of there? We managed to work it down, and we said to them, right, strategic approach would be to apply ABM marketing strategies and principles, and we would focus on the rural, underprivileged government schools, because we were interviewing the sales consultants and we were also interviewing the founders of the company, who we then realized actually have personal relationships with key people in government. I was like, well, that's useful. Great. Let's use your relationships that you already have existingly. Your network is your net worth, right? Let's do that. Let's leverage on that and use support marketing to support those efforts as well. As a result, they ended up getting a client, I think was about a 30 million rand contract. 30 million sounds like a lot, but yeah, if you convert it into euros, it's a little bit less. But it was a good deal that they made for a year contract, and then they ended up renewing annually. And then there was the opportunity of upselling them on other solutions as well and services. So identifying and prioritizing the wrong accounts can be very damaging if you just make the assumptions of the spray and pray approach. Further obstacles that we encountered. Too often, sales and marketing departments working in isolation of each other. I've touched on this already. On their own agenda, like I said, board meetings should not consist of board members having separate meetings between sales and marketing departments when they're presenting. Why that still happens, I don't know. Sales and marketing departments should actually prepare ahead of schedule and present together in a cohesive allied to the board. That would be my recommendation and my advice. So one of the things we do, and I know in an ideal world, it sounds really easy to be able to do that, but people have their own demands and their times and that. That's why consulting firm like myself, we kind of go in and facilitate. So it's like, well, while the sales teams are there, they're busy doing their thing. While the marketing teams are there, they're doing their thing. A third party like us can bring that together, consolidate it, and help them prepare and say to them, all right, there you go. So inform what's going on together. Customer research and persona fail. One of the most common ways that ABM strategies break down is when you don't understand your buyer's persona. Unfortunately, skipping this essential step can lead you to not knowing key information, such as your client's budget, whether you have competition, and who key contacts are for your target accounts. It may sound effortless, but very many B2B marketers mistakenly assume that they know enough about their target client without doing their homework to back up their assumptions. So again, what we do at Pragmattica is we conduct extensive research, both online market analysis, needs analysis, economic analysis. We conduct extensive workshops and interview sessions with the clients, with the agency providers, with the marketing departments and the sales consultants. And then we bring all of that together. And we've been able to uncover some really valuable insights along that. Had we have not done that, could have made a very costly mistake for a company to invest and go on like a completely incorrect marketing strategy and approach. And then once again, what happens where the clients get very frustrated with their agency providers is like, it's not performing. Oh, we don't have enough budget. Just give us more time, give us more money. And eventually that starts causing a lot of tension and strain on the relationships up to a point where those companies start putting tenders out for new contracts because they don't want to work with their agency partners anymore. I've seen that happen a lot in the industry. So doing the research, very important. And number 6, unfortunately, too many marketers often get stuck in thinking of terms of funnels and campaigns, focusing on the latest trends, right? It is my job as a marketer, as a strategist that comes from digital to be informed about these things. So it's counterintuitive, but I also have to keep myself in check and make sure that I don't fall into that trap as well. And it requires a lot of effort. One of the best ways to do that is to actually have conversations outside of your network of contact, outside of your industry. Get out of your little bubble and your own little world. All right? Very important piece of advice. While there are very many handy tools, okay, and again, it can be very alluring. I don't know how many times or if any of you have experienced, oh, you get a call. Look at this really cool AI technology, this machine learning platform, this new software as a service solution, just to plug it in, make your life easy. Ooh, shiny new digital toys that we can use in our company and incorporate. How much is that going to cost? A couple €1,000 per annum. Try it, we do the thing. It's entertaining almost. You want to go into it, jump on the bandwagon. Does it really work though sometimes? Sometimes it misleads you. So think outside of the box to reach what your key decision makers. We often also give up too early without going back to the old school marketing techniques that can actually help you close the deals. This can be a very difficult lesson to learn. Personally, coming from a digital-first environment, I've learned the value in traditional account-based marketing techniques as well, and tactics. And our research and analysis and the fundamental principles that we've used to incorporate both traditional marketing and digital marketing and various other ABM marketing strategies and tactics have been quite useful. So play in the other sandboxes as well. Explore old toys too. They kind of work. I don't know for any of you that maybe have kids, or, you buy your kids these really shiny, expensive, funky toys. And what do they end up playing with? Like a sock. And then they're entertained for hours and that sort of thing. And you can't understand why it is. Sometimes it is what it is, Don't assume and focus just on digital marketing. It has to be an omni-channel marketing mix that's both in the traditional old school style of things as well. Finally, one of the most important ones is not cultivating relationships with your targeted accounts. Again, your management are like, where's the bottom line? Where's the sales that we're getting? Where's our money, right? Then you neglecting your existing customers and client base, and you're too busy chasing on the new thing that you're now neglecting the relationships. So no matter how successfully you segment your leads or how successfully you're targeting the right accounts, your account-based marketing will suffer without relationships. While the strategy is important, it is never a substitute for the power of authentic sales relationships. So I cannot stress this enough. Marketing is not there to replace sales, and sales is not there to replace the marketing. They have to work hand in hand, and there's an equal strategy. And account-based marketing does not work with one or the other. It has to work with both of them working together. I've experienced this with my IT solutions company client, where we're putting together marketing and we're reporting back to them once a month. And we say, this is all the marketing efforts we're doing. We're asking them, how's things going with your sales pipeline? Have you got any feedback for us in sales? We sent our client off to a conference in Rwanda, and we did a whole bunch of marketing collateral to help build up their profile for them and to get awareness over there, because there was an e-learning conference in Rwanda. And so they got amazing interest. They got enormous amount of leads. And we're like, great. Share with us those leads. Report back to us. Tell us, what were the people like? What were the conversations? What were their problems? Give us that information. We can use that information and we can curate content that's relevant for them so that those leads won't go stale and they won't expire. What happened? Oh, I'm so sorry. I have another meeting to go to. I have another demo I need to give. I'll get that back to you as soon as possible. We never did get there. And so that investment in them going all the way halfway to the other side of Africa, come back for the conference, and then they didn't nurture those leads and they just went back into the same old ways. It's a very tricky sort of process, but it also needs the exco level to also put pressure on them. So what I ended up encountering is that we were actually doing such a good job of the marketing and we were so organized, we were putting this together, that they felt, well, Pragmattica is doing a great job of our marketing and our content and all of that sort of stuff. So we'll just keep sticking things to our old ways. We don't need to sort of work as well together on that sort of stuff. And then eventually the type of content that we were producing forced us to kind of do generic content. And that's not very useful. So ending it off on that one, that's some of the lessons that I have learned, some of the experiences that I have had with my key clients, some of the do's and don'ts. I don't know if anybody else would like to share or an experience or have any questions. I think we have maybe about 5 minutes before we break away for tea or coffee breaks. There's a question over there. I also don't want to prevent you from having your tea break. So if you guys want to go, do your thing. But if there's others of you that have questions and want to chat to me, we can do that. Yes.
Thank you. I think the biggest insight I take from what you said is that I couldn't agree more that it's very important to create the right profile for the prospects we want to be approaching. So what are the specific tools and techniques you would recommend to create that persona?
Can you give me an example of a persona that you wanted, or a client, customer? Then I can help you with the tools.
Like the type of companies we want to approach,
yes.
Clients, software companies or startups that want to localize or translate their content.
Companies or startups that want to localize translated content.
Yes.
Okay.
Who have content in one language and want to reach international markets by translating their content.
Okay. So repeat your question again. So you want to know what
you said
what
there
tools?
is that it's very important to target prospects by creating personas or profiling them to really approach them the way they want to be approached. So what tools and techniques would you recommend to do that?
So I'm going to go a little bit controversial over here. But before I go with tools, remember what I said about jumping onto all those new shiny toys that you want to use and tools? Have you ever just tried doing old school research where you would actually ask the questions or do a survey to try and get information about them, what their needs are? Have you ever done a Google research about those companies or those prospecting clients? Just old school general search is a good one. Another one that you could use is social media listening technology. So there's a couple of programs that you can do so you can find out what trending hashtags there are and the conversations that they're having and the trends along with that.
Thank you.
There is a tool that you could use. I know that's what you're asking. There's a tool and a program that we use called Spark Toro. So
say it again, please.
Spark Toro. So it's like a social listening software program that you can actually type in the type of company, what type of solutions that you're having, and then it could show you relevant social media accounts or even influencers that would be associated. And then as a result of that, you could even have a strategic approach in engaging with those people and collaborating on producing content together, maybe webinars or podcast shows and that. And they would share it on their social media channels. And then you could even find out if those prospecting customers or clients are following those social media channels or not, or if they're even following your social media channels.
Number one. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Pulled my arm there. I have to give you one program. Okay. It's a far one.
Hiya. Yes. Our ABM approach is very focused on existing accounts. How would your approach differ if it's an existing account? You have a manufacturing company where they have 20 sites globally, but you have 3 or 4 of those sites.
So our FSP client that we had, a lot of what it was existing client accounts that they had. It wasn't new customers. So most of the accounts that they were targeting were accounts that the sales consultants already had relationships with. But the challenge was that they weren't nurturing or getting further, creating more deeper, meaningful connections and relationships with those clients. So the strategy or the goal there was that we would apply ABM and we would research about the challenges that they are facing or what's happening within the corporate companies. And because they were an existing customer or client of theirs that they had relationships with, a lot of the time the clients are like, well, yes, you're our service provider. We've got what we need. It's just a business sort of thing. Like, that's all we need from you. And then as soon as something goes wrong, then that puts tension on the relationship. And again, that might make it vulnerable that they would look at going elsewhere. So putting together content that was relevant to them, that the sales teams could then share with their clients and say, hey, I know your company is going through this at the moment. There's, this sort of trend happening or whatever. We've done an article, or we're hosting an event on this topic. Would you be interested in participating in it or attending? And then that helped them sort of tie into developing the relationships. And the objective there was that the companies or their clients would approach them as thought leaders to say, what is your advice that you can give us on XYZ of an experience that we're having? So things like that was really useful with as an existing client base where you apply an ABM. I would even go as far as to say applying account-based marketing is easier with an existing client base than it would be of a new prospecting client base, because you have a lot more insight and information about those clients. So half the legroom is already done on how you can actually create bespoke custom content and marketing collateral for them.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. And we bring, like, you have sales and marketing relationships. We bring CS and CX into that relationship as well, because they have good relationship. And we try to utilize the customer as well. So we have a champion, and it's almost peer-to-peer selling where they're pushing our content, not just us selling it and pushing it. And like I said, it's a bit easier
the
than
media scenario, right?
Getting those kind of people involved is where it works.
Yes, you would publish the content on your own media channels. So again, like I said, you would even go as far as to create a whole section on your website, especially if you've got clients and customers that have been your clients for like 4 or 5 years. It's a great investment to make. You want them to be advocates of your products and your services, that there's referrals. I think one of the biggest things in most B2B, right, is the power of referrals and those relationships. I know from my experience in my personal business, 95% of all the business that I have and all the clients I have is based on referrals. It's not about anything of me selling or whatever. It's the relationships that I've established, the value that I'm sharing with people. Then when they're having conversations about another contact or a friend of theirs, they're like, hang on a second, there's Amanda, she does this, I'll make an intro. And then all of a sudden, I'm stuck in traffic and I get a phone call and there's a client, hi, I got your number for so-and-so. They said that you do this. Like, great. Yeah. Anyway. Anything else?
Yeah.
We good? Oh, no, there we go. Hi, hon.
Should I go?
Yeah.
Okay. So we recently started using a solution called Challenger Sale. I don't know if anyone here knows it, but it sort of captures a lot of what you've said here. And the only thing I have a question about is, do you think it's okay to use sales people who are interacting with the customers or businesses in this sense as the source of the data to create the persona that you spoke of?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's the most valuable, is information straight from the source. So one of the things we did was we were researching a particular key decision maker or individual with an account that they were sort of targeting. And so we were doing our own online research of what information we can find out about them, how long they've been at the company. You go on their LinkedIn profile, you see where they've worked and all that kind of stuff, see what their interests are, what their values and all those sort of things are. And then when we were interviewing the sales consultants, we actually found out that the sales consultant said to us, there's another person in like their accounting department that actually personally knows that individual. It's like a family friend or family member, who then kind of said to us, there ain't no way she gonna go with you guys because of these reasons. There was like an inside scoop sort of scenario that happened. And we were like, okay, well, for that reason, it actually turned the whole thing over. And we're like, okay, no point in investing in an ABM sort of strategy there. So even with all the fancy tools that we did and all the online research, which again makes me look great because that's kind of what I'm selling, is like all the sophisticated tech and everything. Old school, sometimes you can't beat it, straight from the source based on those relationships.
And I would just recommend for people to use Challenger Sale, because it also forces marketing and sales to have a relationship, because we mostly lead the design of the sales approach, but the content comes from the salespeople because we're not out there selling anything. But we just make sure that the language is appropriate for who they're trying to speak to. There's correct language, that sort of thing. So it's really a hand-holding, skipping down the road sort of situation between sales and marketing.
The most valuable insights you're going to get to help produce a good content marketing strategy and a marketing strategy in general is the insights that you're going to get from the sales teams. That would be like the most important place to go, which is why it's so important that sales and marketing work together. So what we do is we always say, like, we're there to support your sales efforts. You tell us what you're doing, what the conversations are that you're having, and we put together marketing collateral and that can support and promote you there. But that makes them look all great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure. I think we're done. Guys, you want tea break, coffee, caffeine, beers? Okay. Thank you for your time. I hope you found this valuable and informative. And I hope I didn't talk your ears off too much.